So I said to our great First Lady, who can draw a crowd? Did you watch me tonight on television, First Lady? People love our First Lady out there. Right? Go out and get a book. She just wrote a book. I hope she said good things about, I don't know, I didn't. So busy. She just wrote a book called Melania. Go out and buy it. It's great. And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, don't buy it, get rid of it.
Well, even though Donald Trump has not read his wife's book, reporters have started to get their hands on some early copies for review, of course. And one of the major bombshells in her book is the fact that she totally disagrees with Republicans when it comes to abortion and reproductive rights. Now, in her book, which comes out next week, the former First Lady wrote the following. Here are some important excerpts. It is imperative to guarantee that women have autonomy in deciding their preference of having children based on their own convictions, free from any intervention or pressure from the government. Why should anyone other than the woman herself have the power to determine what she does with her own body? A woman's fundamental right of individual liberty to her own life grants her the authority to terminate her pregnancy if she wishes. This is very strong language, it's amazing, but there's more. Restricting a woman's right to choose whether to terminate an unwanted pregnancy is the same as denying her control over her body. I have carried this belief with me throughout my entire adult life, which is an interesting admission considering her husband appointed the 3 Supreme Court justices who helped in overturning Roe v. Wade, which of course granted reproductive rights to women all across the country, regardless of which state they lived in. But as we know, following the reversal of Roe v. Wade, many red states decided to either effectively ban abortion or make it so restricted that it's incredibly difficult to get one if you are legally able to do so.
Yeah, and he brags about it. He says all the time, I'm the one who got rid of Roe v. Wade. Now he realizes it's unpopular, so he's doing this hilarious evasions. And he says, well, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily sign a national ban on abortion. So would you veto it? Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you.
So I'm gonna get to his response to all of this in just a second. But before I do, I just want to let you all know that after this was reported about where she stands on the topic of abortion, she decided maybe this is not good for my husband's political career. Maybe I should back down. Except no, she didn't do that. She decided to double down in a promotional video for her book. Let's watch.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth: individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
And she also provided a pretty lengthy list of legitimate reasons for a woman to choose to have an abortion, including danger to the life of the mother, rape and incest, congenital birth defects, other medical conditions, and she defended late-stage abortions as well.
Wow.
So she says that it is important to note that historically, most abortions conducted during the later stages of pregnancy were the result of severe fetal abnormalities that probably would have led to the death or stillbirth of the child, perhaps even the death of the mother.
She's absolutely right about that.
She is right about that. I mean, yes, absolutely. Like, thank you for writing about this and thank you for drawing attention to it. These cases are extremely rare and typically occurred after several consultations between the woman and her doctor. As a community, we should embrace these common sense standards. Again, timing matters. And look, she's a little bit more moderate, noting that parental consent is important to her in certain cases. So she writes that when confronted with an unexpected pregnancy, young women frequently, I mean, in this case, it would be people who are girls who are underage, frequently experience feelings of isolation and significant stress. I, like most Americans, am in favor of the requirement that juveniles obtain parental consent before undergoing an abortion. I realize this may not always be possible. And then she says, our next generation must be provided with knowledge, security, safety, and solace, and the cultural stigma associated with abortion must be lifted.
Yeah, and if her husband is elected, that will not happen. So this is unprecedented. In my lifetime, I have never seen the wife of a presidential candidate or a former first lady say, I disagree with my husband, he's totally wrong on this issue. And this is not a minor issue. This is one of the largest issues of this entire campaign. And she's basically saying, if you care about this issue, don't vote for my husband. So that is unreal. If Doug Emhoff and came out and said, I disagree with Kamala Harris on immigration, I just think her position on it is wrong, people would be like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge.
Right.
And look, there historically speaking, there were examples of, the first lady disagreeing with her husband on certain policies, right? So, FDR is a good example. FDR's wife wanted equality for Black Americans and was pushing really hard for it. And so that was the area where, FDR was failing, in my opinion, right? Even though he did some wonderful things as well. And so it's not unheard of, but in this case, it feels kind of unheard of because it's Trump, right? When it comes to Trump, he's the kind of guy who expects complete loyalty. And this is his wife, basically publicly announcing that she disagrees with him on the topic of abortion and also immigration, by the way.
Okay, one second, and thank you for clarifying. I meant unprecedented in our lifetimes. Yes, if you go back far enough, it's happened before. But usually when someone disagrees with Trump, he goes, we're not winning with Melania. So he's probably regretting not having read the book or not being able to read. But so now I'm super curious whether he's going to attack his own wife. And if he does though, I guarantee you all of MAGA will be like, well, of course you gotta attack the first lady. I mean, just getting along with the first lady makes no sense. You have to well, I almost said hang. I'm sorry, that's his vice president. But you have to hate her or something. But of course, as Anna's about to explain to you, they're all pretending that they're pro-choice or something. And pro-life at the same time. Well, and maybe on Planet MAGA that's possible.
All right, so look, about a day before before all this news came out, apparently Donald Trump had posted something on social media and made it clear that he is not in favor of supporting a federal abortion ban. Everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstance and would in fact veto it because it is up to the states to decide based on the will of their voters. Okay, so let's pause for a second. There's a part of me, and it is the cynical, suspicious part of me that thinks, was this all meant to soften Donald Trump's image on abortion because it has been such a political liability for himself and the Republican Party? I'm
not sure Donald and Melania Trump even talk. I mean, like if it was part of a plan, why did he say the thing that we're showing you there where he's like, I haven't read it, and if there's anything bad in it, then I will tell you not to buy the book?
Yeah, you know what? The fact that she was willing to push back on immigration leads me to, because Trump is actually polling really well on that topic. He's beating Kamala Harris on that topic, right? And that is one of the priorities or concerns of the electorate right now. And so to have her come in and write in her book that she was pressuring Trump to end some of his immigration policies, that's not gonna help him necessarily with the election. So yeah, I think this is what she genuinely believes. And she also says, I don't publicly debate my husband on these issues, but privately, I'm applying pressure so he can kind of change course. Obviously that has not been successful, but just really interesting dynamic taking place here.
Yeah, guys, look, they're a dumpster fire. And if this happened to any other candidate, it would be the most shocking thing you've ever seen. But we're so used to the raging dumpster fire that we're like, oh, the candidate didn't read his own wife's book, and apparently neither did anybody else on the campaign. So they get, blindsided by her saying he's wrong on immigration and he's wrong on abortion. And then we're like thinking, well, is this some sort of grand strategy? It's not a grand strategy. It's a dumpster fire. That's what it is.
Yeah, and if anyone in the media wants to interview her about this book, it's probably not gonna happen. I mean, look, usually after someone publishes a book, they go on a book tour. They do media appearances because they want to sell the book. But apparently CNN had requested an interview with Melania Trump, but her book publisher asked for $250,000 in exchange. There you go. Journalists are not supposed to pay for interviews. It's considered unethical. And so CNN put this out to make it clear, we're not paying for interviews. And this is, the response that we got from the book publisher, which is crazy.
Okay, let me do one last thing here that's important. So, Anna read you the October 1st Truth Social post about how he would veto a national ban. That was after months of him not answering the question. I'm saying I'm kind of opposed to it, but don't worry, pro-life, I'm totally in favor of it. Opposed in favor, because he constantly says both things to try to get votes because he doesn't care about lying. So, but he took so much heat for it. Finally, 2 days ago, he's like, okay, I guess I would veto it. On Florida, they have a 6-week ballot measure that they're going to vote on, and he said that he was against it.
Hold on. There's an abortion ban that is triggered after 6 weeks of conceiving, right? Basically, the ballot measure in Florida would go back to legalizing abortion under the Roe standard. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so in that case, he would be voting for the ballot measure to get rid of the 6-week rule, right? And so then the pro-life guys were super mad at him, and then he was like, well, I would keep it. Guys, this is not, they're trying to confuse you. It's not at all confusing. He took away Roe. They took away your choice. And this whole insane talking point about, no, if you're in favor of women's right to choose, you would bring it to the states where half the states would take that right away. No, you would allow them to choose everywhere. You wouldn't take that right away from them, but only in half of the country. It's absurd. No, if you vote for Donald Trump, they're gonna take your rights away like he did the last time. It is definitive. He is against choice, and if you're pro-choice, you ought to have your head examined if you will vote for Donald Trump, and it turns out Melania Trump agrees. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.